You're listening to Sister Stargazers, celestial and terrestrial observations and advice from two real-life sisters.
Welcome, fellow stargazers. Your sisters are in the house. Hi, Jude.
Hey, Sarah. How are you?
Oh, well, I'm good. We are cranking up into a week, heading towards the end of July. It's episode 46, Sunday, July 24th through Saturday, July 30th. We have a new moon this week, but we're approaching the stellium of Mars, Uranus, and North Node. But where would you like to start?
Yeah, well, the week, it does build. So even some of our listeners may have been feeling this kind of revving. My neighbor has an Impala, and he turns it on remotely, and it just goes in the driveway, right? And it's like this, and then you hear him take off, and it's like, right? It feels like that.
Yes, okay.
It's this idling that is ready to rev, right?
Okay, yeah.
And you might be feeling it. You might have been feeling it before the 24th, but we're only going to talk about this new moon week.
Okay.
And I think the revving is about Mars,
Yeah.
moving forward towards Uranus, and also the North Node.
Yeah.
And they do
Yeah.
meet up at 18 degrees on the 1st of August, but that's a little outside of the scope of our week here.
This week. This is the prep week.
Yeah. So, basically you want to just hold on and be present. And that also, we were talking a little bit about, reminders to ourselves, and not to jump into things and to kind of come back to our breath.
Yeah.
Come back to ourselves, because the new moon in Leo is about self-expression. And it's trying to Jupiter in Aries, which is about self-identity, and that's magnified with Jupiter in Aries. So we have this setup where there's a lot of self-identity wanting to be expressed. And it can come out in a very healthy way.
Yeah.
And it can also come out in a very blame or
Aggressive.
yeah. So within that spectrum, though, of between making beautiful art and starting a bar fight, there's this realm of possibility, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's look at the week. So Sunday's pretty quiet. The moon's in Gemini. There's no real heavy aspects. On Monday, Venus squares Jupiter. So Venus is in Cancer, all touchy-feely and, loves her cushy home. And Jupiter's in Aries. It's this kind of big, this is my bias, the puffed up ego side. It's like, but you may find that you want to create a sense of beauty or harmony with something of yourself in it. So, Jupiter is lending its support to Venus to beautify. And Venus is like, well, I don't know if I like that so much. Or maybe I like a little bit of this. And maybe I like a little bit of that. Jupiter offering this support through a square can be a little, unable to make up your mind. It's still a pretty good aspect. I mean, Jupiter and Venus together are always good. Yeah. But the square can cause a little bit of indecision about ideas or thoughts around aesthetics.
Okay.
What do I like? Do I like this? Do I like this? I like that a little bit more than I like this. Well, maybe not. What do you think? You want to get somebody else's opinion.
Yes.
So on Tuesday, the moon in Cancer squares Jupiter in Aries. So it's kind of like, I have a lot of choices. I'm not sure which one I want to go with. I'm just feeling like so many ideas, so many choices, not sure how to resolve it.
Okay.
The moon will conjunct Venus. So there we have again, kind of an echo of the Venus-Jupiter square that happened on Monday. And then Mercury will square Mars. Now Mercury square Mars is going to give us a little bit of impulsiveness. It's going to speed up our mental capacities, our speech, like not thinking before we speak, or thinking too quickly and not considering all of the consequences of maybe what we're thinking, how we're thinking.
Yeah.
It can mean trouble or irritations. It can mean mechanical breakdowns, arguments, conflicts. So there's this kind of irritation, and Mercury's in Leo, right?
Oh, yes. Yep.
So again, it's this thing about, expression of self.
What I'm trying to say.
Yes.
This is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And so what you are trying to say is getting misunderstood, or it's being delivered in a way that's aggressive or a little bit edgy, or, the delivery is off. So the person receiving the information or listening to you is kind of like, distanced or kind of taken aback. So there's a potential for misunderstanding. Okay. So this is Tuesday. Wednesday, the moon will trine Neptune.
Okay.
So that's Cancer placement of the moon to Pisces. So there's a bit of dreaminess to this, to the flavor of the day. But the moon in Cancer will also oppose Pluto. So there can be internal conflicts between what you want and what someone else wants from you, or power issues, or there can even be issues of jealousy, or, some of the dark feelings of not so pleasant emotions. The moon is confronting something. The moon in Cancer, the feelings are deeper when it's touching, when the moon is aspecting Pluto. There's like some deeper issues that are revealed.
Gotcha.
So this is all just a precursor to the new moon, which is set up at 5 degrees 38 minutes of Leo on Thursday. And then the moon is new at 1:54 in the afternoon. So it's kind of in the middle of the day. And on the same day, Jupiter starts retrograde. So Jupiter in Aries is at 8 degrees Aries. It starts to go in reverse, and it will back up into Pisces and then revisit a meet up with Neptune and then move forward eventually. But at the same time that this new moon is happening, Jupiter's looking like it's going backwards in the sky. So this is a kind of a dynamic setup. The moon will trine Jupiter.
Got it, yeah.
So something that is brought to light or something that is started at the time of this new moon, you may have to retrace, you may have to go back and retrace or reconsider the idea or the mission of it, so that it includes more once you get it going. So there's something that you're not looking at now that you will have to revisit with Jupiter's retrograde into Pisces, then collect some of that. Maybe it's a bigger vision. When Jupiter goes back into Pisces, it rules Pisces. So there might be a bigger vision that you need to consider before you move forward with whatever idea it is that you are moving forward with. A new moon is a great time for putting new ideas into expression or wishing. A lot of astrologers talk about a wish list on the new moon. You don't have to wish, you don't have to write it down, but you can just put it into your thought field, what do you want to manifest, and keep that in your mind, during this lunation, that you're moving towards this thing. Every action you take is taking you closer to this thing that you want.
And it sounds like the aspects early in the week of Venus and Jupiter and even Mercury with Mars, like, what do I want? What do I want to express? How am I expressing myself? What parts of my self-expression am I allowing to come out? Because this new moon is also in Leo, as you were saying, about self-expression. You also mentioned that Leo, the lion-hearted, thinking of what can come from the heart, from the most authentic place. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a big kind of, we can read the Sabian symbols.
Ooh, yes, please.
At the same time of this new moon, we also have, of course, we're revisiting this Saturn Uranus Square.
Okay.
Saturn in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus.
Yes.
Mars is about to be connecting with Uranus in Taurus and the North Node, and those all will be squaring Saturn.
Okay.
So there's this image of what's conservative Saturn, what's time-tested, and then what's
progressive.
New, what's Uranus in Taurus, new.
Okay.
what's time-tested but might be worn out, what's authoritative.
Yeah.
That's Saturn in Aquarius. What's new, what's Uranus is in Taurus, what might be
forward
revolutionary,
thinking.
what might be progressive. Right. Okay, so the Sabian symbol for 6 degrees Leo, because we're rounding it up from 5 degrees, 38 minutes. And I'm taking this, of course, from Dane Rudyard's An Astrological Mandala, my favorite book.
We love him.
So the Sabian symbol is a conservative, old-fashioned lady is confronted by a hippie girl.
Wow.
So the keynote is the need to transcend our subservience to fashion in morals as well as in clothes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm going to read this a little bit of this text that Dane Rudyard has written about this degree symbol.
Wow.
This refers to the ever-changing pageant of social values as ideals of human relationship succeed one another, one generation facing in the next an antithetic picture of what it has been brought up to consider worthwhile and decent.
Yes.
Now that was all one sentence.
You did it beautifully. That was lovely.
Oh, God. So, but basically what it says is, one person's, perhaps symbolized by the older, old-fashioned conservative lady, one person's idea of what is good and right is pitted against the hippie in quotes, girl.
Right.
Who's presenting a completely different image of fashion, morals. And keep in mind that this was put out by Dane Rudyard in the 70s. So there is this pitting, of one idea of what is right against another idea of what is right.
Yeah.
So with the moon in Leo and all about self-expression, and then, trining Jupiter in Aries, all about self-identity, we have, we have the potential, this degree highlighted where the sun and the moon are, to have these kinds of issues brought up, as well as Saturn in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus, with Mars activating Uranus. So the new always wins out over the old.
Yeah.
But, it's also the form of the new that's going to be really important.
Where that triple conjunction in Taurus, it sounds like the form of the new is going to revolve around our values of earth and things we've been talking about. Just go back to the last couple episodes, but definitely a connection to the earth, our value of the earth. Yeah, well, let me just finish this one sentence. Oh yeah, go for it.
So this confrontation that we're talking about between the old and the new and the impermanence of each of them, as time rolls on and each one gives way to the next, this confrontation may lead to great bitterness, yet it should show us the impermanence of most of what society impresses upon our collective mentality. What?
Nothing. I just got a picture of Downton Abbey because, the television show, because you have like the old generation and the people who want to maintain that lifestyle. And then the new generation that's like, you can't sustain this lifestyle. This is no longer, we're going to have to, if you want to survive and continue to play, you're going to have to adapt into new progressive ways of doing things. Yeah. Just because we're watching Downton Abbey right now with our mom.
Yeah, exactly. However, we have this choice for progress. Does progress mean submitting to rules and regulations that are coming from someplace that are not based in your local experience? Yeah. For example, I'm just going to bring this up because it's so pertinent and it's been in the news. Yep. So Ceres is the asteroid goddess of grain. Yeah. She's conjunct the sun. She's involved with this lunation. What's happening? In Holland, the farmers. Yeah. So in Canada, we had a truckers' rebellion. Right. But now in Europe, there's a decree that's come down through the government, but it's not being orchestrated through the government. It's being orchestrated through a non-governmental world agency, which is now dictating to sovereign governments what they should and shouldn't be doing to control what is being called climate change or global warming. So I don't want to get into any sides here.
Right.
But all I'm saying is that instead of having a more of a holistic discussion, all of a sudden the farmers in Holland are being asked to stop using fertilizers and give up their farmland because that's what's causing global warming.
Right.
But is it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then in Germany, the same thing. Poland, the same thing. Italy. So there's something going on, that isn't quite, there's not a real discussion about what matters and bringing people together to hash out the best solutions. All of a sudden, there's a top-down solution. Now, I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that it's a little Saturn. It's a little heavy-handed.
So Ceres is activated now with the sun. She won't be playing into this upcoming end-of-month conjunction.
Yeah.
But it does sound like what you're describing is that pre-Martian kind of fiery, you can't tell me what to do. I'm not going to do it that way. We're just going to line our tractors up and we're just going to start protesting.
Well, the opposition of Ceres to Pluto.
Stuff is coming up.
Yeah.
And I think what we can go back to is yourself. Like, what do you want? What are you being told you need to do that you don't necessarily think you want to play with anymore? And maybe I can just segue to the card that I pulled. I used the Divine Feminine this week to Megan Waterston Oracle deck. And Lilith came up, and the vibration on her card, or the affirmation on her card, is, I am the voice of my body and soul. I choose the life that I desire to live. And the keynote of the text, that Lilith is here to demand that she meet with what she really desires, and she's here to demand that we all do the same. So kind of turning again to that heartfelt, lion-hearted place of authority that only you know how you want to move forward. And it sounds like this lunation could be a time to kind of declare that or set that intention by following your heart. And that when it gets too hot, to pull back, to pull in, to find that place in yourself, to get grounded, to hug your pet, to pet your dog, to cuddle your cat, to take a walk. Going back to yourself. Like, at the end of the day, you've got to go back to yourself.
There's an authenticity there. And, you could use this lunation to also discern what you want and what kind of world you want.
Yeah.
And that can be on the, within your sphere of your own self.
Yes.
But then also on your community level and then state level, like envisioning.
Yes. Envisioning. Well, and you'd mentioned, and maybe this is the last aspect for this one, that there is a trine that Chiron is involved in. And you'd mentioned that this trine of Chiron to the sun and moon and Mercury, an opportunity to express or communicate, and an ease and understanding of being open to the unresolved pain or imbalance that may be around you or your community, and maybe finding ways to come to it, to see and feel and understand it in ways that don't have to be aggressive and activating.
Right. And Chiron's at 16 degrees Aries. It's making a trine to the sun and moon. It's a wide trine, but still, Chiron's in Aries. And this is about really self-forgiveness and also understanding, having some understanding with yourself of painful realizations about your life or the pain that you've caused others, and then also the pain that you've caused yourself. So there's also in this lunation, a sense of the opportunity to forgive.
Okay. Sounds like we could have some work to do this week if we choose to get ready for this end of month conjunction.
It could be fiery. Yeah. So just check back in. So before you speak, before you provoke, or before you say something you regret, or just pull back in. And so it's good to, the old adage, count to 10 before you speak. I think this would be a good week to put that into practice.
Well, we can leave it there for now. And thank everybody for tuning in. We hope you're finding these aspects informational and helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah.
You can send us an email at connect@sisterstargazers.com if you have questions you want to ask. You can also find us Monday evenings at 7 p.m. on WMPG.org for our live call-in astrology shows. We'll see you next week when we can really deep dive into what this triple conjunction of Mars, Uranus, and the North Node in Taurus may bring us into August with.
Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Sister Stargazers. Let us know what worked for you this week. Find us on Facebook and post a comment at Sister Stargazers.